Knowing another person's true intention and feelings through effective communication. Having practiced, I think you could read that. Okay. Understanding intervention. How could you understand yourself? And how do you understand your client? In our practice, we had life review sessions. It's amazing what people learn about themselves. Have you ever been to a group for life review? And this is one that's very powerful tool in a group for life review. And we don't have time, but this is it. What are the greatest successes? And who had the most impact on your life? And actually we were going to have a book on life review published by Cambridge, but we haven't had time to get it done. But it is very important. And we have conducted some life review group at different ages. And it is amazing how they review themselves, even though when sometimes it's hard. It's heartbreaking. But after that, it seems to relieve. It said, I have said it. Now, I could have done better. You know what I mean? When you have so much emotion, and it's buried, what we talk about under, the iceberg. And sometimes you need courage to bring it out. And what might be the vehicle for that? It's life review. And Paul is writing his autobiography because people have been asking for it. And it was not easy. Every chapter is a struggle because every chapter of life, you relived what happened. So sometimes your client may need that. You may not have the time for it, but you could ask your client to say, well, why don't you write a biography of yourself? Do an autobiography. I don't have to read it if you don't want me to. And I have an 11-year-old. She's writing her life story. I didn't know that. When we were in session, and she said to me, she said, you know what, at night, sometimes I couldn't sleep. I said, well, why? Something's bothering me. So I took a pen and I started writing. And that seems to help me. And now, my mom will come and clean my room, and then they will see it. I have to hide it. So that, and you know what? She was, after now she's 14, she said, I got stacks of this. And that is her method of helping herself, and review her life and go on with it. I did not ask, could I read it or something? And she said, this is what I wrote yesterday. So when they learn to trust you, they will let you know what means are good to help them to relive the past, even though it is painful. And I think that is one way of knowing self. And also here are the exercises. You describe your aspiration, your best self, you keep a daily journal. What are the meaningful moments? What are the meaningful moments of each day? Now, yesterday, what is the most meaningful moment for you? Don't have to share if it's secret. What's the most meaningful moment for you?
In counseling, you asking?
For your life. Yeah. Your meaningful moment. Yes, Joe?
Just for an example, you want to hear?
Yeah.
So my wife is not a huge sports fan, and she was in Pennsylvania for a couple of days visiting her aunt, and she met me at this restaurant last night, and she watched the Raptors game with me. And she's not a sports fan, but she was really watching the game and getting into it, and it just really I said, wow, this just feels so good. You're watching a basketball game with me. And it was just meaningful.
Why is it meaningful for you?
Because she was doing something and sharing with me something that she doesn't usually do.
Yeah.
I know it sounds pretty...
It is. No, it is meaningful. You see, we have to catch those meaningful moments. Then we know our life is not dry and sad and heavy, right? So this is why it's a habit, isn't it? If you form a habit of looking for meaningful moments, your life would be a lot lighter, more enjoyable, isn't it? Yeah, yesterday I have many meaningful moments because we have been so busy. And with Paul's pain, and you have so many roles. Myself has been divided in so many ways. And I thought, we're going to have 2 days from 9 to 4. How am I going to cope? Right? And being a perfectionist, like stumble like this, it's not my style, right? I mean, just, how am I going to survive? And yet, you have this resilience in you. We can overcome it, doesn't matter what. The timing, right? I mean, I could say, well, okay, we have canceled invitations and to speak or to write. We have canceled. So there are things that you could manage, but there are things you cannot manage. So the whole thing is, you say, I can do it, right? Who said, I can do it? Okay. The meaningful moment was when the door was open. I see people like you smiling. That was meaningful for me. All of a sudden, I have forgotten I only have 4 hours sleep. And I've forgotten that I went to digital guys and they couldn't get my video, straightened out. What the heck, I say, we are here. We are, we all understanding and we are doing together. So that's my meaningful moment. Then afterwards, I said to Paul, you need to get out. Just get out, have dinner. And that was meaningful. You see, so often we live our day just like robots, like a routine. You never reflect. So I think self-reflection is one of the most important things in our life as therapists. Because we are not only going through our lives with all the ups and downs, we also pretend to live in lives of other people. I say pretend because we actually don't live there, but we would enter into the world, try to understand what they go through. So there is a lot of demand for us. So therefore, we really feel that we need to have some protection for ourselves. And we also understand our soul situation, our mentality. Today, you might be stressed, tomorrow you may not. So in other words, our days are changing, but if we don't have a center, so this is why what we do is meaningful, therefore you don't mind going through it. Harder, fine, I enjoyed it. I love, this group because it's smaller. And also you're more mature, and I really think that you are interacting with one another. To me, that is very meaningful. All right, responsibilities, we emphasize that a lot. Freedom and responsibilities go hand in hand. Doing the right thing and finding the right solution. And choose appropriate reactions and actions in situations of conflicting values and demand. We talk about, the cultural conflicts and everything else. We got to choose and say, what is appropriate? What is the right thing to do? Not just the action, but is that the right reaction to it? How often when people tell you something, I don't know, I'll just give you an example. All of a sudden you reacted with shock, okay? Is that helpful or not helpful? But that's real you, right? So sometimes when you express shock, people apologize, don't they? Oh, I'm sorry, because they said, I don't want to shock you. So as a therapist, you have to be responsible and say, what is the appropriate reaction to it? I have a client. She was 13. She was 13. I had a session with her parents. And we were in the middle of a good session. The phone rang. And their phone, the cell phone of the father's cell phone rang. And he got a message from their son, the older brother of this 13-year-old girl, and said she had taken an overdose. What would your reaction be? You're in the middle of a session with her parents. The brother called, says she had taken an overdose.
So you're asking what would our reaction be as a therapist or as?
Yeah, you. You are the therapist. You or me. Catherine.
I think I would express my concern and release the parents to go to their daughter as they needed.
How do you feel in your gut?
Like you get punched in the gut.
You get tense, right? So when things like that happen, your whole body started to react. The first thing you have is that is urgent, right? Second thing is, what's the action to take? What about your reaction as a person in front of your client? How many people involved in crisis intervention? Practically all of us, right? And the reaction is what? When the situation is tense, you are more calm. Mm-hmm. Isn't that the reaction we have? So this is why when you have situation with your client, your reaction is very real. And then almost at split moment, you know what you need to do. And therefore, we could control our reaction. What if you say, oh my God, then the parents say, what are we going to do, right? Yeah. And you just got the message. You're very calm. You say, just tell them call 911. And just say you're on your way home. And make sure that they're all, ready for the ambulance to come in. Or whatever, the police to come in. And, and if you are, religious, you could say a short prayer. Or you could say, I'll pray for you, or something to keep them calm. So our action and reaction influence the client and the success of your session. Okay, yeah, you hold yourself accountable for your behavior. And Paul mentioned a situation where the wife complained and always did not take any responsibility. You do have clients like that. But you could still teach them responsibilities. In the back of their mind, they will think about it. And even they would not admit that they are changing. You see the reaction. Because, human, it's so complex. You compensate for the things that you don't want people to know, but you actually take the right action. So always do the right thing. And, okay, you take ownership of your life, full responsibility for building the future, and committed to action for the goal. That's why pure is purpose, understanding, taking responsible action, and then you are entitled to enjoy. If you can, you'll be happy. Okay.